The Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 have become the ultimate home for turn-based RPGs. Whether you're a longtime fan or just getting started, this list has something for you. Here are the 25 best turn-based RPGs you need to play right now. Persona 4 Golden is a JRPG that drops you into the rural town of Inaba, where you play as a city kid who moves in with his uncle for a year. Things go sideways fast when a series of mysterious murders start happening, and you discover a strange world hidden inside your TV. You and your friends dive into this other world, the Midnight Channel, to fight Shadows creatures born from repressed human emotions. The combat is turn-based, and you build your team's strengths by choosing which personas to fuse and carry into battle. Outside of dungeons, the game runs on a real-time calendar system. You go to school, hang out with friends, pick up part-time jobs, and build social links that actually make your personas stronger. Every day you spend matters, and the game constantly pushes you to manage your time well. It's a mix of dungeon crawling, slice-of-life simulation, and murder mystery, all wrapped into one.
That's some thick skin!
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is a full remake of the 2000 classic, built from the ground up with a gorgeous, handcrafted diorama art style that makes the world feel like a living storybook. You play as a young boy named Merrick, living on what seems to be the only island left in the world. After discovering mysterious stone tablets with your childhood friends, you unlock portals to the past forgotten lands that were somehow erased from existence. Your job is to travel through history, solve each era's problems, and restore the lost islands to the present. Combat is classic Dragon Quest turn-based, with party commands, enemy weaknesses, and the beloved job system, now updated with a moonlighting feature that lets characters equip 2 vocations at once. The story is told in a series of standalone vignette adventures that all connect into one big, overarching narrative. It's been streamlined compared to the original's notorious length, making it much more accessible.
Take that!
Bravely Default 2 is a classic JRPG in every sense of the word. You play as Seth, a sailor who washes ashore a kingdom in crisis, and ends up joining a small group of heroes trying to recover 4 crystals before disaster strikes. The world is split into 5 kingdoms, each with its own culture, politics, and secrets. The combat is where this game truly stands out. The Brave and Default system lets you bank turns or spend future turns in advance, creating a tactical risk-reward loop that feels completely unique. You can brave 4 times in one turn to unleash massive damage, but your character then has to wait out their debt in the following rounds. Pair that with the Asterisk job system, where you defeat enemies in the world to steal their job class, and you have a deep combat layer with dozens of class combinations to explore. The game has over 24 jobs, ranging from Bard to Black Mage to Berserker, and mixing abilities across jobs is genuinely addictive.
This game is perfect for series newcomers and Bravely Default veterans alike. Join the 4.
Persona 3 Reload is a full remake of one of the most beloved JRPGs ever made. You're a high school student who moves to a new city and discovers you have the ability to summon a persona, a manifestation of your inner self, during a hidden hour that occurs every night at midnight, called the Dark Hour. The school turns into a massive tower called Tartarus during this time, and you and your teammates climb it floor by floor to fight shadows and uncover the truth behind the Dark Hour's existence. The story deals with some genuinely heavy themes, including mortality, the meaning of life, and what it means to face something you can't escape. Combat is turn-based with a persona system, where characters have individual personas, unlike the flexible system in P4 and P5, which gives the game a more focused feel. Outside of combat, the social sim side is just as deep. You build social links with characters around the city, attend classes, and manage your stats like academics and charm.
Enemy down. Keep that up, Iori. Good. One last word.
Divinity Original Sin 2 is a turn-based RPG that lets you do almost anything you can think of. You play as a sorcerer, someone with the ability to use a powerful and dangerous magic called Source, who has been captured and sent to a prison island called Fort Joy. From the start, you're choosing your race, origin story, and class, and the game immediately throws you into a world where your choices matter in real ways. Combat takes place on a grid and uses action points each turn, letting you attack, move, cast spells, or interact with the environment in creative ways. And that environmental interaction is a big deal. You can electrify water, spread fire, freeze surfaces, and chain elemental effects in ways that make every fight feel like a puzzle. The story is massive and written with incredible depth, full of political intrigue, gods, and the fate of an entire world hanging in the balance. Unicorn Overlord comes from Vanillaware, the studio behind Odin Sphere and 13 Sentinels, and it's a tactical RPG unlike almost anything else out there. You play as Alan, an exiled prince whose kingdom was taken over by a general who used dark magic to build an empire of mind-controlled soldiers. The goal is to travel across 5 nations, liberate towns, build your army, and take the fight back to the enemy. Combat works through a unique system where you set up unit formations and action priorities before battles begin, and then watch them play out in real time in short engagements. You're not moving individual units on a grid, you're managing squads, assigning tactics, and positioning teams across a large overworld map. There are over 60 unique recruitable characters across different classes, including humans, elves, beastmen, angels, and more. Building your units and experimenting with team compositions becomes genuinely addictive.
I am your shield. Behold my
Tactics Ogre Reborn is rebuilt with modern visuals and a rearranged soundtrack. You play as Denim, a young man caught in the middle of a brutal civil war on a group of islands called the Valerian Isles. The story is driven by political conflict, ethnic tension, and the consequences of war, and it constantly puts you in situations with no clean answers. Combat plays out on a 3D grid, where you position and move units with different jobs, abilities, and equipment. The class system is deep. Characters can level individual jobs, carry skills across classes, and be built in countless ways. What makes Tactics Ogre different from most tactical RPGs is the Chariot Tarot system, which lets you rewind time in battle to undo mistakes. The World Tarot system lets you revisit major story decision points and see alternate paths through the narrative, which massively extends replayability. The game has multiple routes through the story, depending on choices you make at key moments. Live Alive is a remake of a 1994 Japanese Super Famicom RPG that never made it to the West until this Switch release. The concept is unlike anything else. Instead of one long story, you get 7 completely different playable chapters, each set in a different time period and each starring a different protagonist. You'll play through a prehistoric era, the Wild West, feudal Japan, a sci-fi space station, a near-future martial arts tournament, and more. Every chapter has its own gameplay style, tone, and mechanics. Some are stealth-based, some are turn-based dungeon crawls, and some feel more like puzzle adventures. The turn-based combat takes place on a grid, and positioning actually matters. Attacks have different ranges and area effects depending on the character. The HD2D art style looks incredible, bringing the retro sprites to life in 3-dimensional environments with detailed lighting. Octopath Traveler 2 builds on everything the first game did and improves it in nearly every way. You pick one of 8 travelers: merchant, thief, scholar, cleric, warrior, dancer, hunter, or inventor, and start their story, with the freedom to recruit the others as you go. Each character has a unique skill called a path action that you use in towns to interact with NPCs, which ranges from challenging people to duels, stealing items, guiding characters, or learning information. The combat is the break and boost system, where you identify enemy weaknesses to break their guard, then spend boost points to amplify attacks. What's new in the sequel is the addition of latent powers, special abilities unique to each character that charge up over battle and unleash powerful effects when activated. There's also a day and night system now, which changes NPC behaviors and unlocks different path actions depending on the time.
My turn. You've been exposed. Missed.
Pokémon Legends Arceus does something the series had never done before. It sends you back in time to the Hisui region, a wild and untamed version of what will eventually become the Sinnoh region from Diamond and Pearl. You're a researcher for the Galaxy Expedition team, tasked with building the very first Pokédex. The concept of catching Pokémon is treated like a real survival challenge here. You crouch in tall grass, throw Pokeballs from a distance without alerting Pokemon, and observe their behavior in the wild. Battles are still turn-based, but work differently. Both you and your Pokemon are on a timer in the field, and using Agile style makes your Pokemon move faster, while Strong style increases power at the cost of speed. You can switch between these on the fly, creating a more dynamic back and forth in fights than classic Pokemon. The world is split into large open areas you explore freely, full of rare spawns, materials to collect, and requests to complete. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is a remake of the 2004 GameCube classic, rebuilt with updated visuals while keeping the charm and wit of the original completely intact. Mario receives a letter pointing him to Rogueport, a shady harbor town where he goes searching for 7 crystal stars hidden behind the legendary Thousand-Year Door. The story is funny, self-aware, and full of personality. The writing is clever in a way that feels timeless. Combat uses a turn-based system where timing your button presses during attacks and defenses actually matters. A well-timed action command deals bonus damage or blocks incoming hits, so you're always staying engaged, even on the enemy's turn. Mario collects partners throughout the adventure, each with their own abilities both in and out of battle. The environments are full of clever papercraft mechanics, folding, unrolling, paper airplane transformations that keep exploration fresh. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles is set in the kingdom of Ivalice. You follow Ramza Beyluv, the third son of a noble military family, and his childhood friend Delita, as they get pulled into a brutal war of succession called the War of the Lions. The story is political, dark, and layered with betrayal, easily one of the most mature and complex narratives in the Final Fantasy universe. Combat plays out on 3D isometric battlefields, where positioning and job abilities are everything. The job system is legendary. Unlock new classes, master their skills, and mix abilities across jobs to build completely custom fighters. This version is a remaster that includes both a fully enhanced version with updated graphics, full voice acting, new UI, and 2 new battle features, Tactical View and Battle Speed, alongside a classic mode that lets you play the original 1997 game with original visuals and the acclaimed War of the Lions translation.
You can count on me.
Careful, Ramza.
Fire Emblem Three Houses puts you in the shoes of Byleth, a mercenary who becomes a professor at the Garreg Mach Monastery, a school attended by the heirs of 3 powerful nations in the land of Fodlan. You choose one of 3 houses to lead from the start: the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, or Golden Deer, and each choice takes the story in dramatically different directions. The tactical combat plays out on grid-based maps where you command your students into battle, positioning units to exploit weapon triangles, terrain advantages, and class abilities. Outside of battles, you spend time at the monastery, teaching your students, dining with them, sharing meals to boost skills, and building relationships that affect their performance in battle. The Engage mechanic lets characters perform devastating linked attacks when adjacent. The story is genuinely excellent, especially on a second or third playthrough, when you understand all the motivations and secrets that are hidden in plain sight from the beginning. The Lunar Remastered collection brings together 2 legendary JRPGs from the 1990s, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete, in one package, fully remastered for modern hardware. Silver Star Story follows Alex, a young boy from a small village who dreams of becoming a dragon master, like his hero Dine. The journey takes him across the world of Lunar with a charming cast of companions, building toward a story about love, sacrifice, and what it means to be a hero. Eternal Blue jumps forward 1,000 years and follows Hero and Lucia in a new adventure that builds on the mythology established in the first game. Both titles use classic turn-based combat with party management, magic systems, and boss encounters that require actual strategy. The remaster brings upgraded visuals, widescreen support, the choice of English or Japanese voice acting, and quality of life improvements throughout. Octopath Traveler 0 is a prequel to the original Octopath Traveler, serving as a console adaptation of the mobile game Champions of the Continent. It's set in the same world, but hundreds of years before the events of the first game, telling the stories of the legendary champions and tyrants whose legacies shape the Octopath universe. The game features over 30 recruitable party members, and you can build parties of up to 8 characters, which is a significant leap over previous entries. The combat keeps the series' signature break and boost system, where you hit enemy weak points to shatter their guard, then boost your skills to amplify damage or effects. The HD 2D visuals are gorgeous as always, with richly detailed sprite environments and dramatic lighting. The storytelling follows an anthology structure similar to the first 2 games, following multiple characters through their own arcs that eventually converge.
Now or never.
I summon thee, Elfric!
Sea of Stars is a love letter to classic 90s RPGs, made by the studio behind The Messenger. You play as Zale and Valir, 2 solstice warriors born with the power of the sun and moon, who train their entire lives to fight the creations of an evil alchemist called the Fleshmancer. The story has the feel of a classic adventure, 2 chosen warriors on a quest, picking up allies, crossing oceans, and facing increasingly dangerous threats. But it's told with a warmth and visual polish that goes far beyond nostalgia bait. The turn-based combat is deeply satisfying, built around a timed attack system where pressing buttons at the right moment boosts damage or blocks hits, pulling inspiration directly from Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG. You can interrupt enemy attacks by matching the symbols that appear on screen, adding a reactive layer to defense that keeps you engaged. Super Mario RPG is a remake of the 1996 SNES classic, developed by Square, now rebuilt from the ground up with 3D visuals while keeping the exact gameplay feel of the original. Mario's castle gets stolen by a villain named Smithy and his gang of weapons, and in the chaos, the Star Road, the source of wishes in the Mushroom Kingdom, gets shattered. Your quest is to find 7 star pieces and restore it. Along the way, you team up with some unexpected allies, including the fan-favorite Geno and the lovable Mallow. The combat is turn-based, with action commands, timed button presses that boost your attacks and blocks. The remake adds a new triple move system, where filling a meter unlocks devastating team attacks with animated cutscenes for each one. It's short by RPG standards, around 15 to 20 hours, but packed with content, humor, and secrets. The writing is charming and funny throughout, with a ton of fourth-wall gags and visual jokes. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet made some bold changes to the formula by opening up the Paldea region as a fully open world you can explore from the very beginning. There are 3 separate storylines running simultaneously: Victory Road, where you take on gyms; Path of Legends, where you hunt down powerful Titan Pokémon; and Starfall Street, where you battle a rebellious team of students. The open structure means you can tackle these in any order, which feels genuinely new for a mainline Pokémon game. Classic turn-based combat is intact, though battles now happen right in the overworld with no transition screen. A new mechanic called terastallizing lets Pokémon crystallize and change their type mid-battle, shifting strategies in the late game. There's also Let's Go mode, where you can send your Pokémon out to auto-battle wild encounters, speeding up grinding significantly. The story, especially the Path of Legends and Starfall Street arcs, ends up going to some surprisingly emotional places. Chained Echoes is a 16-bit style RPG made almost entirely by one developer, Matthias Linde, over 7 years. It draws direct inspiration from Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Xenogears, and Suikoden 2. And it shows. The production quality and depth here are genuinely remarkable for a solo project. The story follows multiple characters across a continent at war, where magic crystals called Sky Armors power giant mechs used in battle. You play multiple protagonists across intersecting storylines, and the narrative goes in directions you won't see coming, tackling themes of war, guilt, and redemption. Combat is turn-based with a momentum-based overdrive system. Each action shifts a gauge, and staying in the optimal zone gives you a power bonus, while going too far into the red debuffs your party. It forces you to think carefully about how many actions you take each turn. Characters can also pilot mechs in battle, adding a second layer to combat options. Triangle Strategy is a tactical RPG set on the continent of Norzelia, where 3 nations exist in an uneasy peace after a brutal war fought over salt and iron, 2 resources more valuable than gold in this world. You play as Serenoa Wolfort, a young lord who gets caught in the middle of a new crisis that could shatter that peace entirely. The game's most distinctive feature is the Scales of Conviction, a voting system where your entire party casts ballots to decide the story's major turning points. The outcome depends on how much trust each character has in Serenoa, which is built through how you handle conversations and side quests throughout the game. This means the story branches heavily, with multiple routes and multiple endings. Combat is grid-based and tactical, with height advantage, flanking bonuses, and a variety of unique classes. Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake bundles together. Full remakes of the 2 NES-era games that launched the entire Dragon Quest series, now rebuilt with the HD 2D art style and loaded with new content. Dragon Quest I is lean and focused. You play as the descendant of the legendary hero Erdrick, sent to defeat the Dragon Lord, who has plunged the kingdom of Alefgard into darkness. Dragon Quest II expands on that foundation with a party system, a bigger world, and a more epic scope as 3 descendants of Erdrick team up to stop a new threat. Both games have been expanded with new story content, new locations, quality of life updates, and the HD 2D visual treatment that makes every environment feel alive with color and personality. The battle systems have been refined from the originals, keeping the classic turn-based structure while adding modern comfort features. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster brings back 2 of the most cherished JRPGs of the PlayStation era, fully rebuilt in HD while keeping the heart of the originals intact. Suikoden 1 follows a young soldier named Tyr, who discovers his father has become the ruthless leader of an oppressive empire, setting him on the path to leading a liberation army of 108 recruitable characters, the 108 Stars of Destiny. Suikoden 2 picks up years later and follows Ryu and his childhood friend Jowie, torn apart by war and political manipulation in one of the most emotionally intense JRPG stories ever told. Both games use fast, snappy turn-based combat with parties of 6 characters, tactical skirmishes, and one-on-one duel battles. The 108 character recruitment system encourages exploration. Finding and convincing every Star of Destiny to join your cause becomes its own compelling side mission. Monster Hunter Stories 2 is the turn-based RPG spin-off of the mainline Monster Hunter action series, and it's a fantastic standalone experience even if you've never touched a Monster Hunter game before. You play as a young monster rider, someone with the ability to hatch and bond with monsters called Monsties from the village of Mahana. A legendary Rathalos with black wings called the Raisewing Ratha appears and sets off a chain of events that threatens the entire world. Instead of hunting monsters, you raise them. You sneak into monster nests to steal eggs, hatch them, and build a party of monsties to fight alongside you. Combat is a 3-way rock-paper-scissors system where attacks have types: power, speed, and technical, and matching or countering the enemy's choice deals bonus damage. You can ride your monsties in battle, unleash devastating joint attacks, and build deep bonds that unlock powerful skills. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is a stunning reimagining of the 1988 NES classic that launched the Erdrick mythology and changed JRPGs forever. You play as the hero, child of the legendary Erdrick, setting out on a quest to defeat the archfiend Baramos, who threatens to plunge the world into darkness. Before you leave, you build your own custom party at Patty's Party Planning Place, picking from 10 available jobs, including warrior, monk, mage, priest, merchant, and more, and give them names and personalities. This party customization gives the game a personal feel that's rarely matched. Combat is classic Dragon Quest turn-based, with the added depth of personality traits that subtly affect how each character behaves in battle. The HD 2D visuals are breathtaking. Lush forests, ancient dungeons, and sprawling overworlds rendered in gorgeous detail. Dragon Quest XI's is the pinnacle of traditional JRPG design. You play as the Luminary, a young man from a small village who discovers on his 16th birthday that he is the reincarnation of a legendary hero, destined to save the world. What follows is an enormous, beautifully crafted adventure that takes you across an entire world, full of distinct regions, unforgettable characters, and a story that just keeps escalating. The game builds its cast slowly and deliberately. Every main party member gets meaningful development, and by the mid-game, you genuinely care about all of them. The turn-based combat is polished to perfection, with a pep system that charges up over battle and unlocks powerful combo abilities when multiple characters are pepped up simultaneously. Each character has a large skill tree called a panel board that you can customize freely, encouraging experimentation with builds and party compositions.
Phew.
That's every game on the list. Turn-based RPGs are thriving on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, and honestly, there's never been a better time to be an RPG fan. Drop a comment with your favorite from the list, and if we missed one you love, let us know below.